All right, free radicals and independents, whoever you are, thanks for tuning in. My name is Dave, and this is The Radical Independent. Again, thanks for supporting the channel over on PayPal and Patreon. I will have a link for the PayPal email if you'd like to donate one time for this channel. Here is an amazing article written from a right-of-center point of view, which basically encapsulates everything. The DNC would rather lose than nominate Tulsi Gabbard. There you go. That's going to be the title of this video. The four-term Hawaii Congresswoman is too unorthodox for the Democratic Party. What a shame. Written by Brandon J. Weichert, a guy who writes for The Spectator, USA. Even though he's from a conservative standpoint, this guy gets most of it correct. There are a few things I will comment on. Tulsi Gabbard is arguably the most interesting woman in American politics today. A combat veteran from the Iraq War, the Hawaii Democrats' beliefs were forged not only in the desert wastelands of Iraq, but also by the wastefulness of America's permanent, bipartisan fusion party. Awesome. And this is a guy who's right of center. He knows it. Having served in the U.S. Army National Guard in a medical unit during the darkest days of pre-surge Iraq, Gabbard was forced to question all of her pre-war assumptions. From that point, she entered politics and quickly rose to prominence as one of the few voices of restraint and reason among Democrats now infected by the warmongering ruling class. Hey folks, if you don't think that there is a huge coalition of folks both on the left and the right and everywhere else who understand that we have a warmongering ruling class, see, this is where the intersection of politics, if we can get away from all of the noise, all of the Twitter garbage that comes along, all of the identity politics, all of the tribalism, we could easily get somebody in the White House who could represent everybody and put an end to this warmongering ruling class. Since then, the four-term Congresswoman has been lampooned by the leaders of her own party for her troubles, and also by the media, of course. If she were any other Democrat, say John Kerry, she would have been lauded by the DNC for both her war service and for her outspoken opposition to it. Amen. Remember 2004, when for maybe about 6 months, anti-war was a thing? But the Democrats, unfortunately, nominated an Ivy League educated male with a patrician disposition. And that of so many powerful Democrats today. That is what they do. That, by the way, Elizabeth Warren, even though she's not a male, she's got the same patrician disposition. Now, you would say patrician, but yeah, it's the same thing. Gabbard actually has skin in the game she fought for and earned everything she's achieved. Gabbard became a senior DNC official, but she refused to sell out to the corporate Clinton-Obama machine and spoke out against the blatant corruption. Now, most conservatives don't speak like this. The corrupt Clinton-Obama machine. I thought he said corrupt or corporate, but he didn't. But that's what it is. And most of them think that the Democrats are just corrupt, but they're also part of this corporate machine as well. Because of her stoic refusal to tolerate Clinton chicanery, great word, in 2016, Gabbard was placed on the outside of the party's mainstream. Remember my video about payback? This was already, as soon as she declared, I guarantee you phones were lighting up all over the place. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was taking multiple phone calls. All right. All these people who were involved in this, obviously Hillary Clinton was on the line and said, there's no way. There's no way. And we know she's got friends at CNN because they fed her questions. They fed her questions against Trump. Everybody forgets the level of corruption. It's like, we're just gonna pretend that Hillary is really smart, and then, after we pretend she's really smart, we're gonna help her along if she needs our help. That's exactly what happened. Now that Hillary Clinton has been totally discredited and former President Obama increasingly looks to be irrelevant, and again, the conservative hits it on the head here, even though he's probably looking at Obama from the partisan angle. Obama is looking increasingly more irrelevant as far as policy goes, both because of the enduring success of Trump, which, again, Trump is a nightmare because Trump is polarizing the country, and, again, he is a corporatist. He came from big business, so his niche really, the place where he's found peace is being a corporatist. Now, I don't think he likes war a whole lot, but I think he goes along with it just to get along with these people who I believe are embedded everywhere in our government, and that's a systemic problem, and that's why you need a major extraction of these people, and you need someone to stand up to them. And Trump, he folded like a cheap suit. Early on, he folded. Those missiles being fired on Syria, yeah, I'm sorry, that was the end for me. Gabbard now stands as the only one of countless Democratic presidential candidates. It's true, there's too many of them, but they're paring them down. Marianne Williamson is another one who's getting lots of support as far as financial support, but apparently isn't polling in these polls. I don't know who's getting these phone calls, by the way. So it is perplexing to see the corrupt Democratic Party bar Gabbard from the upcoming presidential debate. The reason for this move, they say, is because of irregular DNC rules insisting that in order to qualify for the third presidential debate, candidates must have 130,000 unique donors and register a minimum of 2%. Gabbard easily acquired her donors. In fact, many are average Americans just trying to get by who, now this guy admits he's a Trump voter, were sick to death of the terrible status quo in Washington. Now, this is where all of the hostility, by the way, comes. This is where it comes from when it comes to Tulsi Gabbard. Because this guy, and they're going to someone will point this out. We'll see this guy, Brandon, he likes Tulsi too, and he's a Trump voter. This just shows you that, Tulsi was just a plant for Trump. She's just a Russian stooge. Okay. No, I don't think so. Here's the thing. If Putin's helping her out, Putin needs to help more. Because, obviously, Putin should be able to hack these polls, right? To get them to be like 10%. Crazy numbers. See, Biden and then Gabbard, wouldn't that be awesome? And Putin rearrange those numbers. By the way, I'm kidding. I'm being sarcastic. So someone will cite this video as another, Tulsi kook or something. Look, Tulsi has got to be polling higher than she is based on reality and not based on any sort of Russian interference. By the way, Tulsi is the only one to propose a solution to the voting problem. Her ballot initiative, which would back up electronic ballots with paper ballots, that's something that no other presidential candidate has proposed. I don't even know if she's got co-sponsors on it. I think she does, but anyway, Democratic Party polls, Gabbard has exceeded 2% support in 26 polls, but only 2 of them, magically, are on the DNC's certified list. That's bad magic, by the way. For the record, Gabbard has polled well in official polls conducted by Real Clear Politics. Great organizations, #1 newspaper in New Hampshire, the Boston Globe, and The Economist. In a sane world, these polls would be more than enough. But no. Compared to other Democratic candidates for president, Gabbard is not especially radical. She supports key GOP positions in the war on terrorism. Well, I don't know. This guy is now trying to make it sound like she's a Republican, but she's definitely not. She supports positions like she wants to fight terror and terrorism. I don't know what the key GOP positions are. Anyway, given that Gabbard is an independent thinker who has spent as much time dinging her own party's leadership as she has that of the Republican Party, she is a huge target on her back. It also hasn't helped that Gabbard this month signed on to Omar's resolution in support of anti-Israel boycott divestment. Okay, so they don't like the fact that she's on BDS, all right? Which this guy then reveals himself to be kind of a neocon. After saying that, she's anti-war and it's great, and she's going after neoliberals. But this just shows you that he's tribal. This whole thing, all right, this unflinching support for Israel no matter what, I'm not there anymore with that. I'm not there. And it's, by the way, for you Christian types, it's really bad theology. It's really to blindly do this if you're doing it for religious rationales. That's just really poorly thought out. I mean, I don't want to go into that, I don't, but I support this movement because here's the reason I do. And maybe I'll lose a couple of people by saying I think this is okay. Because we blindly it's foreign aid, it's everything we do. We should be gearing our resources to the people in this country who need it the most. And, I don't know if this is just being anti-Israel. It's just being common sense and saying, look, this is a country that's fairly well off. Why are we so hell-bent on investing in them? Okay, I understand they're an ally, and I think Tulsi Gabbard would tell you that, but I think Tulsi understands that if she's going to preach a message which is more or less taking care of our citizens and bringing all of this foreign aid, this is another sort of way that we're supporting a military-industrial complex worldwide. Because if we're sending money to Israel, then what are they doing with it? Okay? They've got a really strong military over there. And are they fighting a war? Are they involved in a war? Yeah, they're involved with us in all the things that we do. So they're another arm, they're another extension of what we do all around the world. And I think if you're going to be consistent, she's being consistent here. This is consistency. So as much as this might strike some people as being, anti-Semitic, which it isn't, it's actually being pro-American, and to use a Donald Trump term, it's more America first. It's not Israel first. All right, so I think I explained that as we move on here. Unlike more establishment candidates, Gabbard actually appears poised to do everything she has promised to do. And therein lies the ultimate problem for the DNC. While the DNC's leadership is just as fanatically left-wing, no, that's not true, as Bernie Sanders. See, this is where this is falling apart a little bit. He was going really strong there for a while, but now he's just speaking in cliches and stereotypes. The leadership of the DNC is not like Bernie Sanders. They're not closet progressives. And this is how a lot of people misconstrue the difference between neoliberal and progressive. It's a big, big difference here. They've all been bought out, he says. No, they haven't been bought out. They are neoliberals. They don't need to be bought out by Wall Street. They're on Wall Street. They have 401ks. They care about what happens there. That's why they continue the war machine. So this paragraph here is just a little bit weird. I'm just going to skip down here a little bit and wrap this up. I am not declaring my support for Gabbard as president, of course, but I respect her even when I disagree with her. And see, that's the big thing. He keys in on something there that people I've spoken to on the right and in different political shapes and flavors they like her. They think she's honest. Even when I disagree with her, it says her stance on Israel and abortion, I still admire her honesty. And despite the absurd charges that she's a Russian agent provocateur, I find her a refreshing voice of reason on the left. That's something sorely needed and maybe even good for the country. Well, there you go. So he's climbing back on the horse here. He had fallen off, but this is getting a little better again. Clearly, the same anti-democratic forces that ravaged the DNC from within during the 2016 primary are working overtime to stymie the honest campaign of Tulsi Gabbard. This should concern everyone because we are witnessing the deep state in action yet again. Yeah, because you got to look and say that the neo-libs and the neocons are pulling most of the strings here. And there are a bunch of neo-libs out there that when she got in said, nope, let her run, let her do her thing. They think maybe she wants to go on a book tour or she wants a cabinet post. Some of them would probably think she's dangerous in a cabinet position. But that's not going to happen. I think she would probably accept a position because maybe she doesn't like what's going on back home, because they are primary challenging her, and they questioned her on fundraising the other day, and she kind of skipped by that question. She also said in a very discouraging video, and I've got to be honest, that she has pledged to work for and support, I don't know how hard she's going to work, but she will support the eventual Democratic nominee if it's not her. So, and this is why, as I close out here, that we have to have a third way. This system is corrupt. The two-party system is toast. It's not giving us the choices that we deserve as Americans. We find someone who speaks for us, who understands that we have war fatigue. We finally find that candidate, and she's such a great mix of different things. I didn't know that much about her until the beginning of this year, and then I said, wow, I can't believe someone like this is running for president. You know, I didn't think about her being a woman. I didn't think about her being a woman of color. I didn't think about her being a Hindu. I didn't think about any of those things. I know there are a lot of people that just, they're always obsessing over those identity politics issues. I just said to myself, this is the best candidate in my lifetime. And I'm willing to go out on a limb and start a channel and then base it off of her and then kind of change it up a little bit. But here I am still talking Tulsi Gabbard. And it's going to continue because the Tulsi people, we're going to need some help. We're going to need some counseling after this. But there was a lot of I told you so, during the weeks and months leading up to this moment. So there you have it, a guy with a conservative viewpoint pretty much getting everything right. And there's a reason for that, is that Tulsi Gabbard has the ability to unite the country, and even this guy sees that she would be trouble for Donald Trump. She would be big trouble for Trump, and he's probably inside relieved that the party, even though he said it would be good for the country, but he's probably relieved if he really likes Trump that much that she won't be the Democratic Party nominee, or at least there's a high probability that she won't. I don't want to ever say never yet, but we've got to deal with reality too. All right, folks, again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to support me over on Patreon and via PayPal. I will, again, put the email address for my PayPal account in the description box of this video. And keep watching these videos. It's helping, and the channel is growing. We're over 6,000 subscribers now, and we're just going to keep on keeping on with content. We have to soldier on. See you soon.